In this video, we look at the ranking section of the CIMII website. We can find this section by either navigating to Rank in the main menu or click on See Rankings on the home page. On this page, you'll be able to see how the provinces in the top 20 census metropolitan areas referred to as CMAs perform in comparison with each other. The reason there are currently only 20 CMAs is that all 35 CMAs do not have sufficient data available in all 4 dimensions to have an overall ranking. This page allows you to check overall rankings for 2 groups: immigrants versus non-immigrants, or Canadian-born, and recent immigrants versus established immigrants, and for different time periods that you're interested in. Overall CIMII rankings are a composite measure based on 4 dimensions of immigrant integration: economic, social, civic and democratic, as well as health. We use an orange to blue color scheme to display the provincial rankings for the selected group time period in this map. The darker shade of the blue color signifies higher ranked provinces, while the darker shade of orange means lower ranked provinces. You can also adjust the weighting of the dimensions because the default or standard weighting is based on recommendations from our expert advisory committee. But if you come from a different background and think that social integration is more important than economic integration, you can adjust the weights of the dimensions and see a new set of rankings. Let's try this now. It is important that a total of the dimension weights always equals to 100%. You can now compare the user rank, which you control by changing the dimension weights, to the default standard rank and see how the ranks have changed. If you're interested in rankings for CMAs, you can select CMAs here to display the rankings in the table below. Users should be cautious when interpreting the rankings of the geographies. There are 2 main points of consideration. Firstly, it's important to remember that the CIMII provides rankings based on the gap in outcomes between immigrants and the Canadian-born population. The smaller the gap, the better the region performs relative to the rest of Canada. Each rank comes from a score assigned to a region. The score is determined by a regression model which controls for a variety of socio-demographic variables. We look at the score more closely when we look at the resources section of the website. Another important thing to consider is that the difference between being ranked 12th and 14th, for example, could be very minimal, depending on what the score is. We'll look at these scores more closely when we explore the resources section of the website. You can also learn more about this methodology by clicking here. When you have the time period and weighting set in a way that suits your purpose, you can download the data by clicking on the download button right here. You can choose the format that reflects the way you wish your file to be downloaded in.